Like I'm still like super high on all of the other featherweight champions. Number one on my list is Nick Ball. We sent out, a deal that his team had, said that they would go for if we would have come up with that number. No, they came up with another excuse. So to let me know that his team really didn't want to, have him cross paths with me. So if these fights don't happen, just know it's not because of me.
Bruce Shu Shu Carrington has recently expressed some of his frustrations with the lack of title opportunities that he's getting, right? And rightfully so, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm not blaming you and I believe you, but at some point you got to get your team together and make sure that you get these opportunities that you deserve, right? But he goes on to proceed to express his frustrations with further specificity, and that specifically was targeted at Nick Ball, the WBA featherweight champion, right? He said that, hey, basically he's ducking me. Tell us something we don't know.
If I tell you I'm good, probably you'll say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? Welcome back to your favorite boxing news channel, Dr. Boxing Talk. We are back for another YouTube video. Banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, man. I don't know what time it is. A doctor's in the house, man. So check this out. But before we get to it, go ahead and smack that like button. Let's do it together. I appreciate it, man. See, it's easy, easy peasy lemon squeezy. You feel me? Keeps us to help us keep going and growing on this YouTube platform, man. So that's what we want to do. So let's get right to the meat and potatoes. The topic of today is Bruce Shu Shu Carrington and him expressing his frustrations with the lack of title opportunities that he's been getting. Because he said that, according to him, he's been calling out all the champions, including WBC featherweight champion Stephen Fulton, WBO featherweight champion Rafael El Divino Espinosa, and who's the other one? WBA champion Nick Ball, and also IBF champion Angelo Leo, and they're all good champions. I like them all, some a little more than others. I personally believe that Espinosa, the WBO champion, is the best at the featherweight division. He is tall. I'm talking about super tall, you know what I'm saying? So I think that his ability to utilize his reach and also brawl, fighting close, and his durability, I think that he's the biggest threat. And I think that if anybody could become undisputed, my money would be on him. However, the most skilled in the division, in my personal opinion, is Stephen Coolboy Fulton, or Stephen Scooter Fulton, who bounced back after his loss in a great fashion to Nai Inoue, right? After he lost to Nai Inoue, he's been on a spectacular comeback, man. I'm really happy for him, Now, the IBF title holder, Angelo Leo, excuse me, he had the fight of the year candidate or knockout of the year candidate when he beat Luis Venado Lopez, and he just fought his mandatory in Tomoki Kameda, and he looked very good, what I'm saying? Kameda is a tough guy, man, so shout out to Angelo Leo. But notice how I said he fought his mandatory, right? Something that somebody has yet to do. And that somebody would be the other champion, WBA Nick Ball, right? So I think that the fact that Shu Shu Carrington focused on Nick Ball, I don't think he's wrong. And I actually appreciate it, because that is a testament to why he's not getting title shots. Now, like I said in the opener, right? I tend to get a little frustrated when these fighters and their teams say that, oh, everybody doesn't want to fight me. Everybody doesn't want to fight me. These guys are avoiding me.
Bullshit! Bullshit! Bullshit, 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 bullshit.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. One or two guys may be ducking you, may be avoiding you, but everybody's avoiding you. I just find that hard to believe. I think it's more accurate to say that maybe your team is not offering an appropriate compensation, that the other team wants, during the negotiation process. That's also a possibility as well. A lot of times we say, oh, this person priced themselves out, but sometimes it's that the person is being stingy with the money, what I'm saying? Being funny with the money, a little stingy with the greenery. That's a possibility as well. But I'm not there, so I could only speculate on that aspect. But what I can tell you from what I've seen, what I know, and I can prove to you with documentation, is that the WBA featherweight champion 126 Nick Ball has not been fighting guys that he's supposed to be fighting, right? Let's look at it, right? After he beat Ray Ford to acquire the title, he fought some opponents, and none of them were really appropriate, or it shouldn't even be acceptable, but you are with the WBA, and President Gilberto Mendoza has a history of allowing his WBA champions to get away with not fighting the guys that are ranked high, or the guys that are mandatory, or the guys that actually deserve title shots. So case in point with Nick Ball, right? Just for example, he fought who did he fight first? After he fought Ray Ford, then he went on and he fought Ronnie Rios, right? Ronnie Rios was on a sabbatical. He was on a hiatus for like 2 years, right? And then he fought one guy, Polanco, came back and beat him in decent fashion. And then all of a sudden he was ranked number 7. and then he got the fight with Nick Ball.
What?
That really didn't make any sense. Like I said, he was ranked number 7, and you think I'm lying? Check it out right here. His documentation to prove it. So that guy wasn't as mandatory, right? He wasn't even in a mandatory position or even close, right? Then next up, he fought a guy. Well, sorry, not next, right? He's going to fight a guy in Sam Goodman, who's ranked number 6 magically, and he never even fought in the division. They only ranked him at 126, number 6, to justify this defense from Nick Ball. It really doesn't make any sense because this guy campaigns at 122, so he's another guy that he's brought up from a smaller division to satisfy his defense, right? And when I say another guy, is because we all remember that TJ Doheny, who was ranked 38.
Damn. I'm sorry.
Okay, he wasn't really ranked 38. That's his age. He is 38, and he's coming off of a knockout loss to Naoya Inoue at a weight division below. Again, below. So now he's about to fight two guys back to back from lower divisions at 122, and that suffices as his title defenses, which is crazy, right? Because you see the number 1 ranked guy is Quelo, and then number 2 ranked guy is Bruce Shu Shu Carrington. Why isn't he fighting them? And why are we letting this go under the radar? You see what I'm saying? But like I said, this is something that WBA they habitually do, right? They repeatedly do. So this is nothing new, you know. They just following their normal pattern, right? And I will even give you an example, right? I like Naoya Inoue, top 3 pound for pound, right? But the WBA has notoriously allowed Naoya Inoue to get away with not fighting MJ Akhmadaliev for 2 years. MJ Akhmadaliev was in the rightful position. Now we're about to get that fight now in September, good Lord willing, but he was supposed to get that fight a long time ago. It's just documented, you know, back when Naoya Inoue fought Louis Nery, and back when he fought before he fought Ramon Cardenas, back before he fought Yi Jun Kim, back before he fought, you know, so I can go on. You see what I'm saying? Before he even fought, excuse me.
A few moments later.
My bad, had to drink some water, you know what I'm saying? Throat got a little dry, you feel me?
No, did it?
But yeah, check this out though. So where was I? Oh yeah, so Naoya Inoue, you know, I'm not blaming the fighters, because at the same time, we like to blame the fighters because they're the easy targets. That's the people that we recognize, but they cannot do anything that the sanctioning body to which they champion doesn't allow them to do, you know what I'm saying? So even to another point, you know, Gervonta Tank Davis is one of my favorite fighters, right? You know, well, when it comes to the WBA, I mean, when's the last time he fought a mandatory, right? If my memory serves me correctly, which it usually does, I think the last time he fought a mandatory was Rolly Romero. You see what I'm saying? And that was a little minute ago, right? But I will say this, in the case of Gervonta, his is a little bit unique, because I know that we were disappointed in his last opponent being from a lower division in Lamont Roach, but unlike Nick Ball, Lamont Roach is a champion, and even before that, Hector Luis Garcia was a WBA champion at a lower division as well, at 130. You know, that's, in fact, that's where Lamont Roach got his title from at 130, right? He got it from beating Hector Luis Garcia, just like Gervonta Tank Davis did in the past. But my point is that with the WBA, if you know the rules like I do, you're acclimated with them, then you know that the WBA allows their champions to be able to move up and fight the champion above, which is what Hector Luis Garcia did. He was a WBA champion. He challenged Gervonta Tank Davis, so that was acceptable by their terms. And same with Lamont Roach. That's why he was an acceptable opponent, because he was a WBA champion at 130, the super champion. So he had a right to fight the champion above, right? And not to mention Gervonta Tank Davis, Lamont Roach was a pivot. He was an alternative opponent, so he had other targets. So my point is that, you know, while Lamont, there are ways with the WBA to circumvent fighting guys that are your mandatory. Nick Ball, even though he's doing that, he's not even fighting champions. At least Gervonta Tank Davis may not be fighting as mandatory in a while, since Rolly Romero, but he's been fighting guys that were champions and they have a rightful stake to the claim, you know? I mean, they have a rightful claim to the championship, you know? What the freak does TJ Doheny have to do with the 126-pound title? He just got knocked out at a lower weight division in his last fight before fighting Nick Ball. Ronnie Rios, like I said, he was on a hiatus, a sabbatical. We ain't see him in a while. Came back in 2 years and fought one guy, beat him, and then he got a title shot at 126. And now he's about to fight, Nick Ball's about to fight Sam Goodman, another guy that campaigns at a lower weight division. So when is he fighting anybody acceptable? So I do agree with Bruce Shu Shu Carrington that if anybody should be fighting Shu Shu out of all the champions, it should be England's own Nick Ball, because he's not fighting anybody that will suffice as a title defense. Or let me rephrase that. He's not fighting anybody that should suffice as an acceptable title defense, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely agree with with Bruce Shu Shu Carrington. Now I will say this, man, Bruce Shu Shu Carrington has to focus on his next opponent, which is which is for a WBC interim title. And if Stephen Fulton actually fights O'Shaquie Foster and moves up, then that'll put Bruce Shu Shu Carrington in a position to be elevated as a title holder if he doesn't get the fight with Fulton, because Fulton and O'Shaquie Foster, even though I am hearing in these boxing streets, I am hearing that that fight might be in jeopardy. But let's say it does move forward, then if Bruce Shu Shu Carrington wins this title, this interim title against if he does win this interim WBC title against the Namibian contender Matthias Heita, then he'll be in a position to be a champion himself, and some of these obstacles will be eliminated, right? And then he can actually get what he deserves, and he does deserve it. You know, I would say that Bruce Shu Shu Carrington, he's been looking a little shaky late. Like his last fight against Vivas was good, but then he looked a little shaky against Suleiman Sagawa. But then he did all right against Dana Coolwell. So I still believe Bruce Shu Shu Carrington can do good, but I will say that he needs to keep a streak and his momentum going. So I think it's imperative that he not only wins the WBC interim title. I think it's important that he also looks good while doing it, because I think that this would help galvanize or re-galvanize his fan base, you know what I'm saying, and remind us that why we thought that he was the prospect of the year some years back, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I think Nick Ball, stop ducking, stop hiding, and stop looking for excuses to try to make it seem like you're going for Naoya Inoue, because that's why Nick Ball is fighting these guys that are otherwise unacceptable, is because he's trying to fight guys that have either shared the ring with Naoya Inoue and TJ Doheny, or a guy that was anticipated to fight Naoya Inoue in Sam Goodman, you know what I'm saying, which I think is corny at best, you know what I'm saying. If you would fight Angelo Leo for unification, or Espinosa for unification, or even Fulton for unification, don't you think that'll make you more attractive to Naoya Inoue instead of trying to fight his scraps? No disrespect to his opponents that lost to him, but you know, just for the sake of conversation, you know, scraps sound pretty good, you know what I'm talking about? So yeah, he's trying to go about it by fighting Naoya Inoue scraps to try to maybe outperform Naoya Inoue and therefore get the fight. No, why don't you make yourself more attractive? And you know, Naoya Inoue fights for legacy, so why don't you be a unified champion? Then I think that Naoya Inoue will look at you like, hey, if I fight Nick Ball, who's a unified champion, I could potentially get two titles in one go. That'll make you more attractive, instead of trying to go for somebody's leftovers. But yeah, that's what I think about that, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Do you think Bruce Shu Shu Carrington is really being avoided? Do you think he should get the Nick Ball fight? Have I convinced you that Nick Ball is being a lackluster champion with his title defenses? Or do you think I'm tripping and you think Nick Ball's doing the right thing in his pursuit of Naoya Inoue? I appreciate y'all rocking with me as always. Don't forget to smack that like button. But most importantly, remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.